Welcome back to the States. I'm Greg Bishop. When looking at the housing market, one sign that jumps out is that homes just aren't getting built. Consumers are keeping their spending up, but construction is where some concerns arise. Now, single-family starts have fallen again in some of the most recent numbers. The country is still short of millions of places for people to live. And sometimes it's held back by rates of borrowing, the overall costs, and even some rules. Now, to delve further into this issue, let's check in with everyday economics hosts, the Center Square Publisher Chris Krug and PhD economist Orphe Divounguy.
Today, we're talking about the homes that just aren't getting built. Consumers keep spending through June, right? I mean, that was the last data point that we had. But construction, it went the other way. Single family starts fell again. The country is still short of millions of places for people to live, held back by rates, costs, and rules. You can tell me exactly how many houses short we are. It's been a while since we checked in on that. Good to have you with us today, Dr. O. Let's start with that. How many homes short are we in the United States at this point?
Yeah, I mean, if you count the number of families living in the U.S. and you then look at how many homes are actually available for rent or for sale every year, then the gap is massive. It's 4.7 million homes.
So I think when you and I started talking and started doing this show again, it was, I think it was almost 4 years ago now, right? That number wasn't nearly that big.
Yeah, it's about 3.4, 3.7, 3.9, maybe 3.9. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
This year, I mean, the good news this year is that it didn't get bigger. It kind of stopped worsening.
Okay.
And I think that's good. And the reason for that is because we had a surge in new construction during the pandemic. Massive home building just on a tear, right? 50-year high construction of multifamily units during the pandemic. And that helped. You build more. Well, the deficit stops rising. But it just, it just wasn't enough, right? Holding the deficit steady isn't catching up, right? And so we needed to build at a even higher pace. We didn't, and now, if you look at construction, it's actually pulled back, and so I think that's worrying. That means that potentially we're not going to close that deficit anytime soon.
I want to pull something straight out of your column. Okay, then you wrote this week in Everyday Economics. Here's what you wrote. Falling prices helped consumer keep spending. Households didn't retreat, but demand didn't suddenly surge either. And even with that resilient consumer, high interest rates, construction costs, and public policy barriers kept discouraging builders from producing enough new housing. If you could unpack that for us in bricklayer English, is it the demand for homes is there? But the supply side won't answer it, or is it more complicated?
It's a little bit of both, right? So if you look at homes, well, how fast do homes sell? Homes still sell at about roughly 1 in 5 homes still sell within a week, right? And so that's roughly the same pace. That's roughly normal, same pace as 2019 before the big surge in demand that we saw during the pandemic. At the same time, you have millions, almost 8 million families that are doubling up, sharing a unit with somebody they're not even related to. A lot of them would love to have their own unit. I'm pretty sure of it, right? So there's a lot of people that would love to be in a home. Unfortunately, there's a big gap with how many total homes there are available in the U.S. I always say to people, if I have to give if I have to give money to go to every single one of those families to go buy their own home, they wouldn't be able to do that because there's just not enough homes to go around for everyone. That's why, right? That is part of why, the big why of housing is so unaffordable today. You just have you have too few homes to go around for everyone, right? And so builders need to build, but builders can't build when the cost of materials keeps going up, when financing costs are elevated, when the cost of land is really high, and on top of all that, they're dealing with permitting delays. They're dealing with zoning restrictions that say, hey, you can't put 2 homes on that massive lot because in this area, we'll only have 1 home on a massive lot because, it's zoned for single family units only. And, they can't put 2 homes two townhomes on the lot, right? Or you tell them they can't build because there's not enough parking on the street, because there's parking requirements, or they can't build a big townhome, right? Two townhomes that are tall and stuff because, there's a height requirement in the neighborhood, right? All of these things add up. And I love the National Association of Home Builders, because they did a study and they said, hey, approximately $132,000 of the price of an average single new family home is all regulations at the federal, state, and local levels. I thought that was crazy. That's so big. That's a quarter of the final sale price, right? And that's for a single family home. So imagine all the other types of units that are restricted, that are more restricted, right?
And meanwhile, you've got those conversations happening in places like San Diego and Chicago, right? I mean, where they're also fighting over affordability, mandates, right? I mean, but at the same time, that if they're going to restrict building and then have policy mandates that further restrict building, like how do you how does it end? I mean, it seems I mean, in cities in particular, it feels like we're swimming around the lines of the same circle.
Yeah, I'll tell you what they do, which is kind of sad. I see this all the time. It's they have all these restrictions on building at the local level, and then at the state level, they might say something like, hey, you have to build X number of affordable housing to the builder. And yeah, that's nice. But then after a certain threshold, if the cost, if you have an unfunded mandate to build houses or homes below the market rate, right, the builder has to absorb that, right? And so the builder still has all those costs that he has to deal with.
Right.
And so after a while, the project is no longer viable. And if the project is no longer viable, they don't build any homes at all to start with, right? And so, instead of saying, hey, we're going to throw money at affordable housing because, why not just actually make it cheaper to build in the first place so that the price of homes, of units, is not as high, so that more units get built, so more families can find a house to live in, right? And so there's that kind of, this policy game at play where some groups will say, hey, they'll restrict building and then try to throw money at fixing the problem, right? At the problem, instead of loosening the land use restrictions that caused the problem in the first place. So that's the issue in a lot of jurisdictions across the country that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like not just to pick on San Diego and Chicago, but New York, Los Angeles, Boston, San Francisco, Washington D.C. It's the same story there, and that just doesn't work for people.
Well, if we don't get enough homes, right? If we don't have enough homes, that's the problem. I think most people don't care too much about the policy details. They just want to be able to afford a place of their own, and it's all up to the elected officials, and smart people across the country that do policy stuff to think about how to make that happen. And unfortunately, they haven't done it well yet. I think we should end on good news. The good news is that there's a lot going on, even at the federal level now, to fix this problem. There's a big conversation nationwide about fixing the affordability crisis around the country. I think that's positive. So there are steps being taken in the right direction.
Well, let's come back and let's unpack that the next time we have a chance. Make sure that you read Dr. O's column every Monday. That's Everyday Economics at the Center Square. And know that this show is part of The States. It's the daily news magazine at the Center Square. You can watch that on YouTube and across other streaming platforms. We look forward to seeing you next time.